Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Yvonne Msemembo. First, the national news. Members of Parliament have quizzed the government over its handling of theft and illegal exports of protected wildlife at Kilimanjaro International Airport in November last year. Here are the details of the report.
Report by the Parliamentary Committee on Lands, Natural Resources and Environment says the government has been dilly-dallying on the issue as ever since the fate of the smuggled wildlife has not been clear and it is not known if the animals will be returned. The report was reacting to a budget speech by the Minister for Natural Resources and Tourism, Ezekiel Maige, saying that investigation was continuing on the issue and that already 6 people have been indicted on charges of economic sabotage in connection with procuring and smuggling of 136 animals and birds of different species worth more than 170 million shillings. Apart from the smuggled animals and birds, Chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee, James Lembeli, also accused the government for failing to make tourist hotels accountable for ignoring to pay a fixed concession fee of $60 per tourist, which denied the government revenue of 20 billion shillings last year. In his contribution, High Member of Parliament and leader of the opposition camp in the National Assembly, Freeman Boy, warned of an emerging tendency against foreign investors, particularly in tourism and animal hunting trade, as 98% of tourism revenue originates from foreigners.
Members of Parliament, lawyers and leaders from the East Africa Community EAC say before formation of a political federation, there must be a constitution of good governance in member states to make governments accountable to the people through their representatives. Here's a report.
The statement was made at the opening of the East African Third Annual Conference on Good Governance being held in Kampala, Uganda, to adopt a strategy to develop debates which will make heads of state to see the need of good governance in the countries. Deputy Secretary General of the East African Community for Political Federation, Beatrice Kiraso, said it is high time people in member states were the main decision makers of issues in the region, while Uganda Vice President Edward Kiwanuka Sekandi called on member states to ensure they have constitutions of good governance.
Citizens have a role in their country's growth and development. Therefore, governance is a two-way street. The governments must provide their people with the freedoms they need to live and prosper. But at the same time, the people must keep the governments accountable to them and must keep them in check so that governments behave responsibly, both at individual level as well as communities, especially through their elected representatives.
I strongly believe that discussing constitutionalism and the administration of justice in the regional context is a manifestation of our determination to take this integration process to its logical conclusion vis-à-vis the East African Political Federation. Before we get there, however, our countries must have in place certain principles, policies and legislations which must be harmonized.
Tanzanian youth have been urged to recognize their responsibilities in their communities in helping out and finding solutions on critical issues such as hunger and lack of education. Here's more on the report.
This was said by Africa's Deputy Chairlady for the Youth Action Movement, Ms. Chiboka Kabadula, when marking the World Youth Day. Ms. Chiboka is among the representatives from more than 9 African countries marking the anniversary here in Tanzania.
Not all the young people here are very interested today to get to know what's happening here, and they're going to visit our centers to ask what we are doing and making them to be aware of their sexual reproductive health, because this is the most vulnerable age in Africa, not only in Africa but the whole world. So in IPPF we look at 10 to 24 years because these are the ages that are vulnerable in the society and sexually as well.
Also, Counseling Officer Esther Mwanjesa from Tanzania Family Planning Association, the organizers of the event, said strong movements are needed urgently to help the youth make right decisions. Nevertheless, Youth Officer from Temeke Municipality, Anna Marisa, said the youth especially those from that municipality, lack good foundation in education and so find themselves missing out on developing opportunities.
More than 1,400 plantation workers from Kilombero Sugar Factory have gone on strike to pressurize management of the factory to increase wages, which they say are too low compared to the hard work they're doing. Here are the details.
Speaking to Kilombero and Kilosa district commissioners who are trying to resolve the industrial action, the workers called on management to increase their packages as they produced more, but the income benefited only a few workers of top cadres. After meeting with management representatives, Kilombero District Commissioner Everest Ndikilo said the government was determined to end the strike, but latest talks with workers ended inconclusive. Kilosa District Commissioner Halima Dedengu acknowledged that the government was dealing with a strike which entered into its third day without knowing exactly long outstanding fundamental demands of the plantation workers.
Police in Singida region say at least 13 people have been killed and 40 others injured due to accidents caused by motorcycles in the region since January this year. Here is a report.
The statement was made during a workshop held at Vocational and Education Training Authority VETA and attended by motorcyclists who operate transport service in Singida municipality. Presenting certificates to 130 participants, Singida Regional Police Commander Selina Kaluba said the force decided to organize the workshop as part of government efforts to reduce accidents caused by transport of motorcycles, commonly known as boda boda.
Tanzania People's Defense Forces today bid farewell to 2 generals and 5 brigadier generals after reaching the retirement age of 60 years. Here are the details on the report. The farewell ceremony held at Abdallah Twalipo Army Base at Mgulani, Dar es Salaam was attended by senior officials from various forces, including Chief of Defense Forces General Davis Mamunyange. The generals were later handed certificates of service by General Mamunyange, who acknowledged their outstanding service and said they have left the army with a solid foundation that should be emulated by others. The 5 retiring generals include Major Generals Yordan Kohi and Salum Suleiman, Brigadier Generals Wilfred Kabunda, Albert Berati, Francis Mdolwa, William Mdolwa, and Brigadier General Mbula Mashauri. The government has completed installation of 5 generators for Loliondo in Ngorongoro District, Arusha region, ending a long outstanding problem of power in the area. Here's a report.
Installation of generators with capacity of 5 megawatts is part of implementation of a promise by President Jakaya Kikwete when he visited the district during last year's election campaigns. Coordinator of the project said installation of all generator machines have been completed by 100% and that what remained was official launching of the project to enable people to start receiving electricity supply.
Mwanza Regional Commissioner Abbas Kandoro was forced to intervene in a heated debate between the Managing Director of Geita District Council and the Chairman for the Summit District Council. Here are the details.
At a meeting of ward councillors with the aim of scrapping the position of the chairman following allegations that he is mentally unstable, so he cannot lead his people and that he is not well-mannered and is likely to misuse his position. Quarrel started when the chairman of Geita District Council, Joseph Mskuma, opened a meeting, and later the managing director of Geita District Council, Benson Pangalukela, asked the chairman to resign from his position because of the allegations, a situation which the chairman disagreed with and added that it was not legal and did not follow the laid down procedures and regulations. Upon seeing the situation, the Regional Commissioner Abbas Kandoro insisted that procedures must be followed if any leader in a position is to step down.
And that's the end of the national news. The African news is next after the break.